It was just a matter of time before I was found out. The apple may not have fallen far from the tree, but I was certainly no lawyer. A name, I had to give her a name, or the jig was up, something she could hang her hat on. It's Vice, Vice, baby. It's Vice, Vice, baby.
Phone, hello. Please pick up my voice. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's been a hot minute since I last streamed in my room. I look, wow, why is it so dark in here? Uh, Open, says me. Okay, it is absolutely freaking freezing in my room, so I got my lovely, Nick Cage blanket, keeping me nice and warm. Today, well, you know what? First off, I think I'm going to stop calling this the late night live read session because you never know what's going to happen. So I'll just call it the live read session now. I'll just get rid of the late night part. Um, yeah, we will continue on part six. I want to say, is it part six? I'm sure it's part six. Let me double check. Yeah, nope. Yep, part six. Part six, live read of Believe Evidence by our dear mother, Megan Fox. Ooh, Megan Fox. There you go. Not Megan F. Megan Fox, the writer. The Fox mother, the God Fox, however you want to call her. But, we'll read two more. Hello, Daniel. Welcome. We'll read two more chapters of this book and call it a night. How about that? So, here is your disclaimer. Your feelings will get hurt no matter what. And because, like, if your feelings get hurt and you know it will get hurt, please come back to a different video, a different stream. Do not talk smack about the reader, me. Do not talk smack about the author, Megan Fox. Do not go after her, because if you do go after her, I will go after you. No, it's not a threat. Hmm, but take it how you want to take it. Your feelings will get hurt again and again and again. Let's get our feelings hurt. I'm ready. Sweet. But, ah. Megan Fox Again, like I said in the last episode or 2 episodes ago, every single episode we do this, Megan does not give a fuck what you think. She will talk about stuff she wants to talk about. And no one, and I mean no one, can stop her. So, without further ado, let us read. Well, let me change this to live chat first. There you go. And I put a link at the top of the video or the top of the chat so you can get a copy of yourself. So let us continue reading. This chapter is called Dr. Lynn Snowden. Professor Mike Adams is one of the funniest, smartest men I have ever met. He's a controversial professor of criminal justice at University of North Carolina, Wilmington, UNCW, who also writes columns at Town Hall that drives his leftist students and faculty crazy with rage. Adams made sure he got tenure before he came out of the conservative closet. However, and so, try as they might, they can't get rid of him. My first face to face with Adams was at an event I helped set up at Monmouth College for him to speak at the College Republicans in 2005. I was into helping the youth back then, and I thought I'd use my writing contacts to spread the conservative message on college campuses. I couldn't think of a better guy to give that message than Adams. He had written a book called Welcome to the Ivory Tower of Babel Confessions of a Conservative College Professor. That was a scathing rebuke of toxic, far left campus atmosphere that was and still is actively at war with free speech. His entire talk was about the left's refusal to engage with ideas instead of using tactics to shut down any dissenting speech. Shortly into his speech, a professor in the back of the room stood up and began filibustering him with silly, never ending questions. He tried to answer her, but she wouldn't stop talking. He wrote a column about it later with a full transcript that she had no idea we would have because I was sitting in the audience recording. Good times. Professor Farad Professor Farad Hack decided to shout me down from the back of the auditorium instead of hurling a key line from the front row. Fortunately for me, Professor Farad Hack sounds like far left croc was sitting near a digital tape recorder when she launched into her tirade. I had the tape transcribed by a seasoned professional, read fellow member of the vast right wing conspiracy. The transcript does not adequately capture the shouting and singing, yes, singing, of Dr. Hack as she tried to disrupt an otherwise calm event. Hack went on and on trying to shout him down, sometimes singing, and basically making a fool out of herself. She later went on to give some of the students involved low grades in retaliation for hosting him. So, you can imagine how popular Adams is on his campus with the women's study professors and grievance mongers. He is a man with a target on his back. In his book, Adam tells the story of Dr. Lynn Snowden, whose actions should make her the leading psycho in a Stephen King novel. Snowden, a professor of terrorism, provided a list of offenses she claimed to have suffered to the university that included the mutilation of a watch band in her office, destruction of tenure documents, and tampering with computer, including erasing bookmarks, among other things. The trouble began with her accusing another staff member, Cecil Willis, of hate crimes and sexual harassment, neither of which ever proved to be true. In a letter to superiors at UNCW, Adams wrote, Dear Mr. White, as you know, last November an officer of the UNCW Police Department asked me to stop by the station to discuss a matter involving former faculty Senate President Lynn Snowden. When I arrived at the police station, the officer informed me that Snowden had reported to them that her office was being burglarized. She claimed that the burglar was spraying some form of poison in the office in an apparent act of workplace terrorism. As you may know, Snowden has written a book on terrorism and teaches a course on the subject. I was quite pleased with the professionalism of the officer who interviewed me in November. He immediately expressed the view that Snowden was in need of a psychiatrist. That was a relief to hear since she had named me as the person responsible for the terrorism of her office. As you already know, she also accused our department chair, Cecil Willis, of using his master keys to let me into her office to spray the mysterious toxins that she claimed were cutting off the circulation in her legs. I found it particularly interesting that Snowden told the officer that her doctors were not able to find anything physically wrong with her. I was also interested to find that Snowden convinced an adjunct faculty member and a criminal justice major to come into her office to swatch her desk in order to preserve a sample of this mysterious poison gas. The officer also said that Snowden suspected that the mysterious toxin was tear gas. After Christmas break, I noticed that Snowden's ability to function in the workplace was diminished. On many occasions, I saw her wearing slippers as she walked into class, dragging her left leg behind her. That tear gas must have been pretty strong to cut off the circulation of her left leg. However, I did wonder why it didn't affect the 80-pound Labrador retriever that she took into her office at night for personal protection. Of course, I also wondered what kind of education the students were getting in Snowden's classes. By March of this year, I noticed that Snowden had stopped going into her office altogether. She began using the computer in the main office and started advising students in the computer lab just down the hall. It was also becoming common knowledge on campus that Snowden believed that terrorists were after her. A colleague of mine saw her one evening around 6 o'clock in the office hallway, using a towel to get the mail out of her mailbox before dropping it into a plastic bag. According to another colleague, she was afraid to touch it until she had sanitized it in a microwave oven. The university's refusal to deal with this dangerous faculty member shows just how morally depraved this institution has become. If Snowden really believes her bizarre allegations, she is mentally unfit to teach at the university. If, on the other hand, she does not believe the allegations, she is morally unfit to teach at the university. Excuse me. Snowden was never reprimanded for her false accusations and remains a professor at UNCW. It took 6 months for Adams to be clear of poisoning her. It is clear none of what Snowden alleged was true, but it is not clear if Snowden was trying to cause trouble for Adams or if she's just stone cold crazy. What is certain is the parents paying big money to UNCW are being ripped off with staffs like her teaching their kids. A quick perusal of Rate My Professor came up with 43 reviews, most of which sounded like this. Dr. Snowden has been the worst professor I've ever had at UNCW. I took her classes online, and before the semester even started, she sent out an email asking us not to email her because she has other important classes on campus. Others called her extremely disorganized, confusing, and not entirely there. It is no laughing matter what this woman attempted to do to two men she worked with. It's terrifying to me that anyone would choose to #believe women like this. Snowden is unhinged, unstable, and probably in need of a very and probably in need of a heavy medication. She's living in some sort of state of paranoia, which is unhealthy and dangerous for others around her. It makes me wonder if she has a second front door. And that was the first chapter. Pretty short. Pretty short chapter. Hello, T Rex. How are you doing? I gotta sneeze. 1 second. I guess not. I didn't have to sneeze. Hello, friends from sunny New Mexico. Holy shit, it was hot, but desert today. Hey, well, at least you're alive. Welcome. Sweet. So, the second chapter for tonight, Emma Solkowicz, Mattress Girl. Episode, this chapter is where most of the trigger warnings will come in handy. Sweet, I have water. Let me drink water first. Okay. Emma Solkowicz, Mattress Girl. Emma Solkovich should go down in history as one of the most despicable women on the planet. You may remember this shameless hussy from her infamous mattress protest at Columbia University, where she hauled a mattress around campus all day to protest the university not expelling another student she claimed raped her. While Solkovich earned female and accolades from some of the highest personages in the United States and was invited to the State of Union by Senator Kristen Gillibrand, the student she falsely accused, Paul Nungesser, led a life of public shame and institutionalized oppression. The New York Times compared Solkovich to Jesus. Yes, that Jesus. You can, for a moment, call Emma Solkovich a typically messianic artist, and she won't object. I used a phrase sitting in her tiny studio at Columbia University on Thursday as we discussed carry that weight. This is the succinct and powerful performance piece that is her senior art thesis, as well as her protest against sexual assault on campus, especially the one she says she endured. Carry that weight, which is beginning its fourth week, involves Miss Solkovich carrying a 50-pound mattress wherever she goes on campus, but not off campus. Analy- Analogies to the Stations of the Cross may come to mind, especially when friends or strangers spontaneously step forward and help her carry her burden, which is both actual and symbolic. Of course, another analogy is to Hester Prynne and her Scarlet Letter, albeit an extra heavy version that Miss Olkovich was taken up by choice to call attention to her plight and the plight of other women who feel university officials have failed to deter or adequately punish such assaults. The carried mattress also implies disruption and uprootedness, which calls to mind refugees or homeless people. The fawning doesn't end there. The slavering article continues, making activism as journalism. Carry that weight might be an artwork of last resort. It is the accumulation of 2 years of pain, humiliation, frustration, and righteous anger that began in 2012. On the evening of the first day of class of her sophomore year, Miss Salkovich said she was anally raped in her dorm room by a fellow student, with whom she had consensual sex twice before, according to the police report. In the aftermath, Miss Salkovich suffered in silence, then filed a complaint with the university. This led to a hearing before the panel that found him not responsible, according to a campus newspaper report in the Columbia Spectator, a decision that was upheld upon appeal. After that disappointment, she said, a trip last May to file to file a report with the police was so upsetting she didn't follow through, although she secretly recorded it on her cell phone. There is no mention of any pain or humiliation that her victim suffered. For that, you have to go to the National Review, which covered this story in a much more professional way than the New York Times, which later had to admit the story was messy. Mona Sharon, however, painted a much more accurate portrayal of the effect of Solkovich's lies in the life of Nungesser in an article in the National Review called "It's High Time Columbia's Mattress Girl Was Discredited," writing, Solkovich filed charges with the university and the New York police. She later alleges that the New York police mistreated her. Both investigated. Both declined to take actions against him. It was then that Solkovich undertook her mattress performance as an attempt to brand Nungesser a rapist and drive him from Columbia. He was shunned and anathematized, as Kathy Young reported in Reason magazine. Solkovich launched a full-on harassment campaign. In the summer of 2004, other students and a professor pressured Nungesser to drop out of a scholarship-paid class trip to Russia, Mongolia, and China. That October, on a day of action against sexual assault, several mattress-toting activists showed up in one of his classes, where they stared at him and took his picture. Keyboard warriors in the social media urged making his life a living hell, and sometimes called for violent retaliation. Nungesser finished his degree, but he also supplies evidence to Young that undermines the case against him. Evidence that was not even admitted to the tribunal that cleared him. Nungesser produced Facebook messages the two exchanged within 48 hours of the alleged rape. The Facebook messages were hardly indicative of anyone who had suffered violent rape. Nungesser had her on record asking to see him and telling him she loved him after the alleged rape. No charges were ever brought against him, but that did not stop the university from continuing to allow him to be discriminated against and harassed. The Daily Beast got this story directly from Nungesser a mere 2 years after he was dragged through the press. Even before the investigation began, the charges had immediate consequences. Nungesser was placed on restricted access to university buildings other than his own dorm. These interim measures made it extremely difficult to continue his campus job as an audiovisual technician, especially since he was not allowed to explain why he was under these restrictions, and to attend the counseling sessions he had started. Meanwhile, it became obvious that despite confidentiality rules, news of the accusation was spreading. Within a few days, Nungesser says he was being conspicuously shunned by many fellow students. After Nungesser was exonerated by the school investigation and Title IX Kangaroo Court, the mattress show began. The Daily Beast Expose continued. Solkowitz's act, which is also her senior project for her visual arts degree, had been praised as both protest and art. To Nungesser, however, it is something else altogether: harassment. It's explicitly designed to bully me into leaving the school, as she says so repeatedly, he says, referring to Stalkovich's statement that she will carry the mattress until either Nungesser leaves Columbia or they both graduate. That is not art. If she was doing it for artistic self expression or exploration of her identity, all these are valid motives. Scaring another student into leaving university is not a valid motive. Nungas also says he has been the target of social media threats. A Tumblr post that began to circulate last September said, "The name of Emma Selkovich's rapist is John Paul Nungesser. Don't let him have any feeling of anonymity or security. Rapists don't get the luxury of feeling comfortable. Around the same time, Nungesser says that he and his parents spotted and eventually removed a Facebook post that had a far more ominous tone, stating, I'm only pissed that I'm not in New York to cut his throat myself. Nungesser finally sued the university and won an undisclosed settlement. The university only made the following statements. After the conclusion of the sexual misconduct investigation, Paul's remaining time at Columbia became very difficult for him, and not what Columbia would want any of its students to experience. Columbia will continue to review and update its policies towards ensuring that every student, accuser, and accused, including those like Paul who are found not responsible, is treated respectfully and as a full member of the Columbia community. Slockovich never dropped the Matches Act and even took it on stage with her for graduation. This woman is shameless, going on to prove everyone right in labeling her an attention whore, along with literal whore. Slockovich made a career out of performance art, where she degraded herself in public with more and more bizarre and perverted acts. The National Review reported her metamorphosis from mattress girl to whatever this is. Seeking to keep her notoriety alive, she has created a performance art piece in which she is tied up in her scanties, hoisted in the air, and being beaten for the amusement and edification of spectators. But that's not all. When the news article died down about her after the trust of beatings, she promptly released a sex tape where she reenacts the violent rape she claims suffered in college. Milo Yiannopoulos, I probably just butchered that name, described it better than I could. He's just so deliciously mean. Good porn never starts with a pop quiz, so we're off to a poor start with the site's bizarre and incomprehensible statements which reach for, but fail to grasp, profundity. Velkovich's inner 9-year-old is never far from the surface. Questions she asks visitors include, do you think I am the perfect victim or the world's worst victim? And, do you hate me? If so, how does it feel to hate me? And then it's down to business. Porn star Mercedes Carrera described it earlier today as a bad amateur sex tape from an attention-seeking histrionic, sorry. She was being too generous. But let's plow on. At the start of the tape, Salkovich enters a dorm room, blue-haired, for that is the uniform of the internet feminist and masturbatory social justice warrior, pursued by a bear. Online critics have expressed dismay at the fact that she hasn't bothered to make her carpet match the drapes by dyeing her pubic hair blue. It's a recent innovation known to the social justice community as the full San Francisco. Perhaps this fashion-forward intimate grooming trend is yet to appear on the East Coast. What follows is punchy, by which I mean Solkovich gets punched. Though she insists in the unhinged copy on her website that everything in the video is consensual. There follows much quivering of flesh and deeply unsatisfactory blowjob. As a queer, I can tell you it is probably the most lazily and messily administered head I have seen in years. If this is the sort of oral sex straight men are getting, can anyone blame them for retreating into pornography and video games? Perhaps worse than that, perhaps worse than subpar fellatio, is the next section of the video where Selkovich act out the violent portion of the rape. Not very convincingly. Milo continues. If you know what hentai is, you'll be familiar with the spectacle of a blue-haired Asian woman screaming for it all to stop whilst not really meaning it, with a man pounding away noiselessly like a mechanistic rape engine. It is not exactly an original setup. Perhaps the most despicable section of the film is the creepily self conscious fetal position into which Sokovich places herself after a sexual partner has left her. Ugh, places herself after a sexual partner has left the room, clothes in hand. She's practiced that for hours, has our girl. For how long, one wonders, did she rehearse? One suspect years. It's telling, I think, that in Sokovich's purported college dorm room that there are no books. She has the same lack of interest in aesthetic as she does in intellectual enrichment, both in her choice of sexual partner, apparently satisfactory member notwithstanding, and the grim bare walls with which she surrounds herself. Though I expect the austerity of her room her barren emotion reflects her barren emotional interior really rather well. You can tell dad bods are in fashion because both of the people in this video have one. But you do at least have to give an actress credit for doing nude scenes with a man who has larger breasts than she does. Solkovir's size queendom apparently extends to love handles and leave the viewer sympathetic to the travails of her infamous mattress. It's revealing of her vanity that she insists on being filmed from four angles. Every crevice of her unappealing naked body must be considered. Her congressional interlocutor is a gruesome sight in three dimensions, chosen probably to make young Emma look thinner, which doesn't work, I'm sorry to say. All in all, it's a tawdry, miserable encounter that tells us nothing about sexual assault or sex itself, but quite a bit about the quasi demonic inner workings of one Emma Sulkwich. And these are the women for whom the left roll out a red carpet, lying whores. Salkovich has a bright future ahead of her as long as she continues her art, which she appears eager to do. Except more self debasement from her in the future, and none of it interesting or honest. And that was the second chapter for tonight. Hello, Ginger with the Soul and Melly. Hello, hello, welcome. So, ooh, that was Believe Evidence. The next two chapters in the book by Megan Fox, our dear friend and internet mother. Ooh. Let's see how, yeah, the more I read it, the less comment I have. Um, Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 chapters and the conclusion, acknowledgement about the author, and endnotes left. So next time we'll start at page 115. So we have about 80 more pages till the very end of the book, which is very interesting. Went by pretty quick. Has reading always been this easy? But yeah, like I said, this is my biggest book I've probably be reading start to finish, which is amazing. I'm glad it's Megan's book, that which is the first book for me. But the more I do this, the less and less comment I have because my comments will be the same. The end. But thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. Let's see. Do 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 do. Let me set up a redirect. if anyone is live right now, and then I will say my goodbyes, I guess. That's, yeah. Do. Well, let's go to J-Hib. Why not? He's doing his Saturday people watching. Sounds a little creepy, but hey, who cares? It's J-Hib. We love J-Hib. So, this is it for tonight. This is my last stream for Saturday. And tomorrow, I don't think I'll be streaming tomorrow. I'll again focus on editing the Screwed Saturday video. And yeah, I guess we'll see you Monday. On and see you Monday on stream, and I'll see you guys later in other people's chat. Once again, at the top of this chat, I have pinned the Amazon link for Megan Fox's Believe Evidence book if you would like to get yourself a copy. Very affordable book. You need to finish Poppy. That is coming soon. Maritime Monday Watch Party has really taken over my stream now, so maybe one of the weekends coming up, I'll finish up chapter 4, which is the last little bit, I think. I haven't forgotten about it yet, so don't worry, Melly. I have not forgot. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining on this live read session of Megan Fox's Believe Evidence. Let me pull this up on screen one more time. Boom. It's a great freaking book. When I said this, I think I said this in the last episode. I probably didn't. I always pre-read the chapters because I know I'm going to mispronounce people's names. I'm going to mispronounce words because Megan likes to use big words that dumb me can't pronounce or don't understand. And God, when I read that um sex tape review portion, I was laughing my ass off. But it's a wonderful book. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful book so far. I'm sure it'll stay wonderful for the rest of this book. But appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone for being here. Thank you, Danielle, Melly, Ginger with the Soul, T-Rex, for being here. You guys are awesome. And people in the rewatch crew, you guys are awesome as well. Please consider the like and subscribe button. And please go over to Megan Fox and show her some support and love. And yeah, hello, Zach. And goodbye, Zach. I hope everyone has a beautiful morning, evening, night, wherever you are. Stay beautiful. Stay lovely. I love you guys. And I will see you guys later. How did that L sneak in there? Because I deserve one. See ya.
Well, that's all for this stream, but it's been so sweet. Thanks for hanging with us, it's been a treat. We'll keep it warm, keep it real, take it slow. Catch you next time when the vibes are ready to flow. If you enjoyed the ride, give us a like, subscribe for the warmth. Come back whenever you like. Until then, take it easy, don't rush, don't hurry. I'll be here waiting, no need to worry. Vice, baby, always by your side. Stay cozy, stay calm, let the good times ride. Peace for now, but we'll meet again. Take care, my friend, until then.